Hello, my name is Gaëtan from CreamFX. Today I'm going to show you how to work with Parallaxer for After Effects. At the end of this video, you should be able to animate in 3D an illustration or a picture in no time. Let's go! Okay, so we're going to start with this first example. I'm in Adobe Illustrator and I separated my illustration in layers. Don't hesitate to spend a bit of time to separate your layers in the 3D space. Of course, all the layers at the top will be in front and all the layers at the bottom will be behind. Once you're glad of the result, you can switch and go in After Effects. If you follow the steps to install the Parallaxer script, then you will be able to launch it by going in Window, Parallaxer. And here it is. I'm going to import my illustration, and import kind I have to choose composition, and this is very important. I have to choose the footage dimension as document size, not layer, document. And here is our illustration in After Effects. So the first thing I'm going to do is to select my composition here or here and launch Parallaxer. It's going to prompt me and choose a preset for a small scene, for a small room, for example, a medium scene, or a big room, for example, or a large scene like exteriors. In this case, I want to choose the big room, so I will have more 3D impression than a smaller one. Parallaxer is saying to me that I have to set up my viewport in 2-view mode with top and camera. So 2-view mode. And for the left one, I'm going to choose top view. And for the right one, my camera. Okay? You will see a little window here. Keep it open, it's very important. Let's put it maybe here. Actually, you can see that the layer autoscale is on. We're going to deactivate it. I will show you later how to use it. If you put it on off and choose one of the 3 tools to move in 3D, let's say this one, to do some dolly in your picture, you will be able to move already in 3D in your illustration. It's a bit blurry here because we are in 1/4. You can put full and test. Okay, this is better. And if you want to reset your camera, you just have to do layer autoscale on. And now you will be able to change some parameters very easily. I want to say After Effects that my background over there is maybe too close. I want it to move less when the camera is zooming in. And I want to say also that the woman here is maybe too far from the desk of the man. So we're going to do this very easily by activating the layer autoscale. I'm going to take the woman here, woman, layer. So you can see that when you move the layer in the 3D space, its scale is adapted automatically. So there's no change when you look from the camera. So we said we wanted this woman to be at the same distance than the desk and the man. So here it is, the man and the desk and the woman. And I'm going to take the background over there and put it way farther away. If I try to move while the autoscale is on, you will see that it's not possible because the camera is locked. So I'm going to deactivate my autoscale. We can see that the woman is exactly at the same position than the man and the desk, and you can see that the background is much farther than before. When you move, it seems very, very far. Okay? So once you're glad with your layers, you can click on Bake and Finish Setup. So the window is going to be closed and everything is going to be baked, and you are now ready to animate. I'm going to close my 2-view, I don't need it anymore. I'm going to go back on 1-view and I'm going to do an animation. There's already a key on the point of interest and the position of the camera. I'm going to do a 3-second animation. Okay. So this is nice, but it's a bit linear and I want the animation to be reversed. Okay, this is nice. You can see maybe at this frame that the man is a bit blurry here. You can see some pixelation over here, and there's a solution for this, and I will recommend it almost every time when you work with Illustrator layers, is to activate the vectorization like this. And now you can see it's perfectly sharp. For the second example, I spent a lot of time separating all the layers to show you guys that with Parallaxer you will be able to animate this scene in 3D in seconds. I'm going in After Effects, I'm going to import it as a composition, footage dimension in document size, okay. And I'm going to do something here is that my last layer named Back with the sun and just color in the background, I don't want it to be in 3D. So just lock the layer, and Parallaxer will understand that he doesn't have to work on this layer. I'm going to click on Parallaxer, choose a large scene exterior. Okay, I'm going to put my viewport into view, top and camera. Okay, I'm going to deactivate the layer autoscale because I don't want to move my layers for now, and just start moving in my scene. That is how simple it is to animate an Illustrator file with Parallaxer. You can move on left and right also like this. This is a good way to see what's going too much in front or what is too far in your scene. I'm going to bake and finish setup, and I can start animating if I'm glad with the result here. And here is my final result once I played a bit with the layer autoscale. For this next example, I worked in Photoshop and I separated my layers just like this. I even added plants in the scene to get some more 3D effects when the camera will move later. We're going to apply Parallaxer. I'm going to choose the medium scene, deactivate layer autoscale to check if it's already okay, maybe. Well, this is nice, but you can see that maybe the plants in the foreground is too close from the camera here. I want it to be maybe at the same distance than the icons here. I'm gonna test. Okay, this is much better. And here's my final result. If you look closely, you will see that there is some depth of field activated on the icons. You just have to activate this option in your camera. I invite you to check some tutorials about the subject of depth of field on After Effects cameras to do this. So on this example, I'm going to show you some more advanced techniques and tips. In this case, I separated everything like the other examples. And we're going to try to animate the birds over here in After Effects by doing some pre-composing. In this example, I want to lock the background because in the background we just have some clouds and the sea, and I don't want them to move because they are very, very far from the camera. I'm going to put some colors here. My mountains in blue. My birds are going to be in, let's say, red. And my grass, flowers, and trees, all these layers in the foreground are going to be green. Let's launch Parallaxer. On a large scene, exterior, okay, I can see all my layers in the foreground in green, my birds, and my mountains. We're going to test, and you will see that all the foreground here are dispatched on a distance that is much too big. You can see the trees disappearing immediately just when I move my camera, and the grass is almost not moving or moving like if it was at the same distance than than the mountains. So to correct this, it's very easy. I'm going to take all my foreground layers and put them on a shorter distance with the layer autoscale. Okay, so this is better. You can see the flowers and the grass is moving much faster than the mountains. You can also test with this tool that can give you some good indications of how the layers are positioned in 3D. Okay, so there is still a problem. The mountain over there seems to move too much. We have to put it farther from the camera. So let's reactivate the layer autoscale. Select the mountain over there and put it way farther, like this maybe. Okay. Deactivate layer autoscale, and we're going to test just a zoom in like this. This is much better. I'm going to click back on layer autoscale. It's going to reset my camera. This is very useful. And I didn't tell you later, but there's always a warning at the top of your scene saying the layer autoscale is on. Let's say we're glad with this, and we're going to bake and finish the setup. I'm going to put an animation key on my camera at 3 seconds. And now we're going to animate all these birds independently. To do that, first thing to do, I'm going to select my birds and I'm going to pre-compose them by doing a right click, pre-compose. Let's double click on the new composition. And the problem there is that there's just one layer with all the birds. So you have several possibilities here. You can create a new file in Illustrator and separate all the birds, one on each layer. That will be maybe long, but it's possible and it will work. Or you can use some plugins like Explode Shape Layers or Overlord that can import directly some objects from Illustrator to After Effects. In this case, I'm going to select my Illustrator layer and explode it. So now I have all my birds on layers and I'm going to animate them. Okay. If I go back in one view and do a preview, you will see the birds just moving in the sky. Okay, for this last example, we're going to try to animate this character here. Let's go back to the first frame. I'm going to pre-compose my screen here and do an animation in the screen. So what happened? When I pre-compose a layer with Vectorize activated, it won't be in 3D anymore, so I have to deactivate it. And there is a solution to correct the layer if it's too blurry. We will see that later. But for now, we're going to do a little animation in our screen over there. Okay, so this will do the job. It's not the most fancy animation I've ever done, but to understand how it works, this is okay. Let's close the scene and check if the animation works in our main comp. Okay, this works. So now we're going to do something a little bit more complicated. We're going to animate our character here. So first thing to do is to pre-compose my man foreground layer. As it was vectorized, I cannot activate 3D and vectorization on a pre-composed composition, so I have to deactivate this. So maybe the first thing I want to do here is to correct this problem of blurry pixelated layer. So to do that, I'm going to open the composition and modify the settings here. A simple way to correct this problem is to multiply per 2 or per 3 or 4 the size of the composition. So in this case, I think 2 times is enough. So I'll do this on the width and height. Okay. But now my layer is too little, so I'm going to scale it per 2, just like this. Okay. I can vectorize it in the composition. It's very sharp and vectorized. I'm going back in my main comp, and I see that my layer now is too big. Of course, we scaled it 2 times, so I have to scale it down per 2, just like this. And now it corrected the problem. You can see that at 100%, it's sharp now. Let's go back and we're going to animate this character. To do this, I created another file in Illustrator. I'm going to show you guys. And I separated my illustration in 3 layers. Arm back, the body, and the head. I'm going to import this in After Effects. And in this case, it's very important. If you import in document size, it's not going to be very easy to animate. So you should import it in layer size. Let's open the composition with the 3 layers. I'm going to copy them, close it, and import it in our pre-comped composition here. Okay. If I scale them, they're going to move independently, each of them on their pivots, like this. So this is not what we want to do. It's the main difference between importing in documents that will take all the documents and all the layers will have the same pivot, and in layer mode like this. But this mode is much easier to animate. So the first thing to do will be to take the head and the arm and to do a parent linking to the body. So when I scale the body, the arm and the head will come with them. I'm going to put it at the same position than my pre-comped layer, and I'm going to delete the old one. Okay, so if I go back in my scene, nothing changed, but now we can animate our character. Okay, we can close this composition and go in the main comp to test my new animation. Thanks for watching this tutorial. You will find a link to the official Parallaxer page in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support my work and to be informed of the next releases. Bye!